Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 must-have mods for your 8.6 BRZ. Whether you've had your BRZ for a while now or you've just got it, if you don't have these 5 mods on your car, you're definitely not getting the best out of your 8.6. If you're new to the channel, my name's Angus. I do weekly videos on the BRZ, so if you're looking for more BRZ content, definitely give us a subscribe. I'll really appreciate it. To kick off this list, mod number 1, I'm going to start with headers. So that's like your exhaust manifold. When you start looking up headers, you'll see that there are 2 options. There's an equal length or an unequal length header that you can go for. The headers that come on this car from factory are very restrictive. They've actually got 2 catalytic converters in them to meet emissions. So by replacing these, you can unlock quite a bit of power. Now the OEM ones are unequal length header, but they are only unequal length by about 33% from memory. When you start looking at aftermarket equal length headers, they're usually around 50%. So what I mean by that is one head's pipes are 50% longer than the others. The main difference between these 2 options is the sound. Unequal length headers will give you that stereotypical Subaru boxer noise, whereas your equal length headers will give you a more stereotypical 4-cylinder engine noise. Definitely still sounds really good. Between the equal length and unequal length headers, there is also a performance difference. Now it is fairly minor on a naturally aspirated application. People will mostly agree that an unequal length header will give you better mid-range with a little bit of sacrifice to top end compared to the equal length headers, which will give you a little bit better top end and a little bit less of the mid-range power increase. I've been in a few 8.6s with a few different setups. I haven't really noticed any difference myself between them, but the most important factor of both of them is they will both eliminate the torque dip that these cars have from factory between the 3,500 to 5,500 RPM range. So no matter which option you choose, it's going to be heaps better. So for most people, it just comes down to a sound difference. Now, when my car was naturally aspirated and now when it's turbo, have stuck with equal length purely just because I prefer the sound of it. I reckon equal length FA20s sound amazing. Going into mod number 2, it sort of pairs with the headers, is going for an aftermarket tune. There's about 3 different main options to go with for an aftermarket tune. Firstly, and the option that I originally went with was an Ecutech Race ROM. So the Ecutech Race ROM lets you have 4 different maps for either different settings, if you're on launch control or no launch control. I had mine set up as different fuels. So I had one for 95 run, one for 98 run, one for E50. So if I was ever stuck sort of halfway between E85 and 98, and then one for E85 straight. The benefit of the Ecutech ROM is I can run different fuels without a flex sensor. It's not true flex fuel where I can put in any mixture of fuel, but the tune isn't maximized to the point where it's going to start knocking and all the other sort of negative part, and that's just because it's a flash tune, not a custom tune. The other thing you can do is the OFT tune, which I know is popular, where you just upload the tune and go from there. The Ecutech, in my eyes, the reason I chose Ecutech over this is because it does give you options of flat foot shifting, launch control. Another thing is a custom dyno tune. That seems to be the most expensive option, at least in Australia. And why I wouldn't go for one of them is the gain that you get over a flash tune is very minimal in an NA setup, and obviously it's increased risk. So there aren't a lot of really good tuners for the FA20 platform yet. So going with a known good flash tune, in my eyes, is always the way to go. Must have mod number 3 on my list is coilovers. So the cars from factory, in my opinion, actually handle pretty good, but the coilovers give you the adjustability to fit larger wheels, set a custom height. Most coilovers as well will offer the advantage of offering adjustable rebound. So what this does is it allows you to, well, first of all, set how comfy the car is, and second of all, fine tune your handling setup for wanting to induce a little bit more understeer or wanting to induce a little bit more oversteer. And obviously in these cars, they're really known for being a bit fun to get a bit of oversteer in them. The coilovers as well, generally for the most part, are a smaller diameter of the spring. And what that lets you do is fit that bigger wheel closer to the shock than the OEM spring setup, rather than going for like an STI spring, which a lot of people do, but because they're a larger diameter spring, it hinders your ability to fit a larger wheel there and a bigger tire. Mod number 4 on my list. Now, no matter what kind of driving you're gonna do on these cars, this is absolutely necessary. You've gotta update your brakes. So that's your pads, fluids, your rotors if you really want to, but the OEM rotor is gonna be able to handle quite a bit of abuse until you start pushing more track orientated stuff. Another really good mod to consider is getting stainless steel brake lines, as they will increase pedal feel. If you have a GT Model 86, even consider upgrading to the GTS brakes, as I believe they were a slightly larger caliper or rotor. What I did to my car is I actually went for WRX STI calipers and rotors. Now the reason I went to this, it is a little bit of overkill for an NA car, but the reason I went for this is it is a fixed caliper design rather than a floating caliper design, so it'll give you better pedal feel when you're hard on the brakes. It'll just communicate a little bit more feedback to you. And secondly, I was planning on doing the turbo. I did want a little bit more stopping power to the car. I did actually do a video on the WRX STI brakes and why I did them in full, and I'll put a tab up here so you can check that video out. Number 5 for today. I feel like the whole video has led to this point because it's the modification that actually makes the biggest difference to your car, is changing your wheels. Now there's a few different points to consider with selecting wheels. I want to briefly touch on a couple of the main ones. The reason you want to upgrade your wheels is to fit a bigger tire for more grip in most cases. One thing to consider with upgrading your wheels, now obviously wheels are an aesthetic piece and you want them to look good. I've driven a few different 86s over the years, and the one thing that I have learnt to appreciate through just driving so many cars is a good set of lightweight wheels. Now I'm not talking about getting the lightest set of wheels that you can possibly buy, which are worth thousands of dollars, but just getting a wheel like an RPF 1 is gonna handle and feel a lot better to drive. Obviously, if you care more about the aesthetics of a wheel, go for whatever wheel you want, but definitely lightweight wheels on a car that has under 200 horsepower is very lightweight in terms of modern cars. A lightweight wheel is so underrated in the way that it can make a car feel. Or just, not even a lightweight wheel, but getting a wheel that's not excessively heavy. There are lightweight wheels that do suit every budget range, so they're definitely affordable in most cases. Comment below, what was one of the mods that you did to your car that you reckon is definitely worth and is a must-have mod? I definitely am keen to hear them below. These were my 5 from what I learned when I was modifying mine. Thanks for watching the video. Definitely give it a like if you liked the video. I would really appreciate it, guys, if you are watching it, to subscribe. I'm gonna stick to a weekly upload plan, so it's definitely gonna be worth subscribing. But yeah, let me know below. I'll see you guys in the next video.